Let's move on then nicely, actually, to Moto3, because I will ask you a few predictions for that in a minute. But first, let's talk about that, because what a ride from Dennis Foggia. Incredible, really, to go from 14th on the grid to take the win ahead of Jaume Masia and Pedro Acosta in the end, who battled his way. He always seems to battle his way. He's up 1, and then he's down 5, and then he's back again, and he managed to finish on the podium. And in doing so, they take the team championship as well. The Red Bull KTM team take the team's championship. But Foggia was a man on a mission, and now just 21 points behind Pedro Acosta.
Well, he's kind of replicating what's going on in Moto2 with Fernandez, isn't he, a little bit? I mean, he's come so good late season, Foggia, and he really is applying the pressure to the youngster at the moment. But Acosta, I thought he rescued this weekend. He managed to force himself into that position. What's it, 21 points between them now. Foggia's got momentum, but Acosta's late race, I don't know what to call it. It's not aggression, but he's kind of, the way he reads a late race is really, really quite special for one so young. He manages to work it out. He seems to have something in himself and in his bike for a end of race scrap. And he's certainly one for the future, no doubt about that. But Foggia, brilliant. Just a brilliant race. Just looked like he was the man. Even though he was a long way behind at one point. He really was a long way. There was a big gap he'd got to bridge to get to the leading bunch. But once he got there, straight through him.
Yeah, I mean, Acosta, as you say, Keith, he looks like, you think, he's starting to choke a little bit, that he's starting to panic, and he gets his sort of 8 laps to go or something, and then suddenly it's like he just goes, he switches into another mode, and he recovers, and he always seems to be there at the end of the race. The interesting thing for me, I think, though, was just how down he looked after this race. I've never seen him look that. It was like he really knew, okay, I'm in a bit of trouble here. I mean, what is it? It's 76 points that Foggia has taken out of his lead in 6 races or something. I mean, I think it was the first time I've seen him look really worried, I guess, on the podium. Because he wasn't, did you see, the others were all celebrating and he was completely glum. And I think, that it showed that he is worried and it's getting to him. And I think, to lose that amount of points in these races, he can keep recovering. As we say, he's doing a great job of just snatching the maximum points he can at the end of the race. But Foggia's just in another class at the moment. Yeah,
but Foggia's got to win both of the next ones. And if Acosta finishes in the same position he did this weekend for the next 2, he'll still be champion. He'll only have lost 18 points. 18 points is the crux here. We were talking about it with the Moto2 guys. A guy can win and the other, Acosta can finish 3rd in the next 2 races and he can still be champion by 3 points. So, I mean, it really is still Acosta's to lose with a 21-point lead going into the final 2 rounds. But that lesson, and this is where he has, his young, tender age, he has experience. He has fought for fairly major championships already. He's been in the shark pit already for some time in his life. I mean, he's not just 16, he's 16 with years of experience. And he's going to need them now. He's going to have to lean on them a little bit in these final 2 rounds to not choke. I don't think he'll choke. I think what happens is you override. I think when you're a youngster, you don't really choke. You're not scared of anything. I think it comes back to what I said earlier on. You're jumping off bridges into water and so on and so forth. I don't think you're scared of anything. But what it is you begin to override a little bit. You begin to just tighten up a little bit. You become too aggressive with the motorbike. You've got to pull it back a little. Those with experience will just pull it back a little bit and won't make the same kind of mistakes. And tiny mistakes in Moto3 cost you yards. Scrub a little bit of speed here and there, just get it slightly wrong and lose the toe from the person in front of you. Cost you dearly. But I just think his racecraft during the course of this year has been exceptional for one so young. He really has. He manages. It's like he's got a crystal ball where the bloke in front of him is going to move to next on the track, and he managed to make a pass or jump to the side of him. And you think, crikey, that kind of racecraft is something. He's beyond his years when it comes to that. So if he can continue in that way in the final 2 rounds, he will be champion. But Foggia at the moment has the momentum.
It reminds me, Keith, and do you remember Danny Kent's season?
Oh.
And he had, because it's looking like that, isn't it? But at the end of the day, Danny Kent held on. And I think exactly as you say, it's almost, I mean, we'll have to look at the points gap that was lost. Was it to Oliveira with Danny Kent? You actually had to switch the liveries, wasn't it? It was a Leopard bike and it was the Red Bull KTM bike. And we've ended up, it didn't look like it would be this way with Acosta's rides at the beginning of the year. It looked like he was going to dominate the season, but it's ended up being a bit like Danny Kent's, where the lead has gone down. Danny Kent held on, and Acosta, if he holds his nerve, he will do the same.
Agreed.
Well, on that then, are you both sticking with Acosta for the champion?
I'm going to stick with Acosta, I think. I think he's just about got enough points to keep it together. And I think somewhere like Portimao, he's going to love Portimao. He's going to go well at Portimao. And Valencia is another one of those tracks where, there are certain kids that go well on that track, and I think he'll be one of them.
Yeah, I think Acosta. I think that the lead is just a bit too big for Foggia. I think it's, again, a bit like with Fernandez. I think Foggia will finish ahead of him and he'll cut that lead down. But I think Acosta is going to, mentally, he's strong enough to hold on. And as Keith says, he has this knack of pulling points back when you think he's going to lose a massive load of points. Suddenly he makes the damage limitation ride, and that's all he needs with a 21-point lead.
Well, you both make very sensible points, but me and my naivety, Foggia is going to do it. I'm telling you now. So, got to go for the underdog. I have to.
You won't be alone in
the
that.
Same one. Yeah,
you won't be alone in
the
that.
same one. So, well, they're set in stone now, so we'll add that to our tally. But sticking with Moto3 for 1 minute, Darryn Binder in fourth, just missing out on the podium. Of course, big news coming into the weekend. Finally, we have an answer as to who is going to get that Yamaha seat, and now also confirmed it will be RNF, the title sponsor for that Yamaha MotoGP, and it will be Binder in the 2022 seat. Keith, it was rumoured this was happening, but finally it's set in stone. Thought might be Jake Dixon. That's not happening. Binder with a P4, cementing that as well. Can he make the jump and do what Miller did?
Yeah, I think he can. It'll be interesting to see if he can. I mean, Miller, I think his jump wasn't quite as successful as maybe he thought and the team thought he would do it the first year. That's for sure. And I think Binder's going to be in the same situation. Binder's not as daft as I think that sometimes we might make him out to be. I mean, he's a charger, there's no doubt about it. But he will be thinking, he will see the Jack Miller, parallel, and he'll be working on it for sure. I mean, for me, it's a new team situation as well. I like the RNF part of it. Some old wag put it up there today. Razlan needs funds. I love that. That's what it stands for. Razlan Razali, of course, the team CEO. It's going to be an interesting team. It's going to be interesting to see how it gels. Darryn is going to have a really hard time early on, and there isn't that much testing again with modern day MotoGP, which it would be. There's almost a situation here where I think there ought to be, for a rookie like him coming in, there should be more testing allowed. There should be a little bit more leeway. But there isn't. So good luck to him on that one. I don't know. I'm going to keep an open mind when it comes to Darryn. He's going to jump on a MotoGP bike. The gap between Moto3 and MotoGP is enormous. He's not come through Moto2 where it's a lot closer to MotoGP and a little bit of a halfway house. He's doing the full-on jump. Good to see as well that John McPhee has got another year in Moto3. So at least John has a ride now that Petronas is disbanding its Moto3 and Moto2 teams. He'll be disappointed with the fact he hasn't been able to nail down a Moto2 ride. And this will be his last year, I think, because he'll be 28. So it'll be his last year in Moto3 that he'll be allowed, because they've obviously got the age limit, upper age limit on that. And Jake Dixon as well. He's all but signed for Moto2 for next year too. So good luck to them. But in your question, I think Darren's going to have a hard time to start with, but he'll be right up for it because he is a Binder, and brothers will be comparing notes, I'm sure.
Yeah, the two Binder brothers there, Pete.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Jack Miller did it, but Jack Miller was fighting for the Moto3 title right to the final round. He was the standout rider along with Alex Marquez in that Moto3 season. And as Keith says, it was a different situation. He was going to an open class Honda, which was at the time almost like a lower category of bike slightly, you know, and Darryn's coming in. He's had 2 podiums at the very start of this year, but that's all. And then he's going straight onto a factory Yamaha, if you like. It'll be a year-old bike by the sound of it, but still. The Yamaha does seem to be the easiest bike for rookies, but still, it's a big jump to make. The other hand, he's 23 years old. That means he's older than Fabio Quartararo. So, you know, he's not... Jack Miller was very young. He was sort of a teenager when he first rode a MotoGP bike, but he was sort of 20, I think, before the first race. So there's either side of that you can look at. But he's got that sort of wild style, isn't he? Jack was asked about it. What do you think Darryn will do? And he said, yeah, you know, if anyone can make a go of it, he can. You know, clearly he's happy with the bike moving around underneath him, which is what happens a lot more in MotoGP compared to Moto3. And Jack made the point that I think we've made before as well, which is you can't turn down MotoGP. He said, you know, that train only comes once. So, you know, if you've got the chance, you've got to take it. And whatever the situation, and Darryn's got this chance. And, you know, especially at Yamaha, it's a great chance for a rookie. He's not that young, as you say. He's actually done, I think, 6-7 years in Grand Prix. It's just that they've all been in the small class. Jack said that Darryn, you know, he does train on bigger bikes. And he said he's got a lot more big bike experience than I had when I made the move. So let's see. But undoubtedly, it's going to be a massive step. The only sort of concession, if you like, that rookies get is they're allowed to take part in what's called the Sepang shakedown test, which is for test riders and rookies and riders with concessions, if you like. So he'll get about 3 days at Sepang before the main test, but that's it. That's all he will get as a rookie compared with all of the other full-time riders. So it's not a lot of time on a MotoGP bike. He'll make his debut at the Jerez test in November. As far as the team, it's a 1-year deal with Yamaha, which is quite short. Razin explained that was something to do with corporate governance or something, but yeah, unusual for it to be so short. Wilco Zeelenberg will stay as the team manager, but Johan Stiggy felt it seems like there's a complete split there between Razin and Stiggy, so they'll go their separate ways, and this new team won't have Stiggy in it, so that'll be quite a big loss, but we'll see. You know, Razin said most of the team will remain the same. Certainly on Dovi's side, the crew, the mechanics. Binder's side, Rossi's guys are going with him, if you like. So Rossi's crew chief, data guy, and his coach, they'll go and work on the VR46 team next year. So Darryn will have a few new guys in there with him. But the project is, you know, it's got Yamaha backing, and I mean, let's see what he does. As Razin said, who would have guessed what kind of Fabio was going to do with the bike in 2019? And, I think it's a bit much to expect Darryn to do quite that much. But, given Fabio was a race winner in Moto2 already, but certainly Razin has big hopes for him.
Well, we shall wait to see how that all pans out. We're getting all the sort of news coming out now as we get to the back end of the season. As you say, Keith, good to see John McPhee confirmed. He'll be alongside Ayumi Sasaki on the Stelgarda Max Racing team for 2022 in Moto3. I'm afraid, gents, we are out of time for this week, but I think we just about covered everything near enough. There's a few bits that will slide across to next week's show because we will get your questions answered. Also, there's some rumours about potentially Davide Brivio coming back to Suzuki, not happy in Formula One, just rumours at the moment. Perhaps that'll be a bit more of a discussion for us next time out when we will go into preview mode once again for the penultimate round in Portimao with still the Moto2 and Moto3 titles to be decided. But the MotoGP title has been won by Fabio Quartararo, and I think we can all agree that was very well deserved and a sublime season from Fabio this year. But we'll be back. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Pete, for all your help as ever and your thoughts and comments. Thank you as well to listening or watching wherever you are. Make sure you keep up to date with all the very latest news from MotoGP and the wider motorcycle community on crash.net. Any questions, you know the trick by now. And if you don't, leave them in a comment, send them to the crash.net MotoGP socials, and we'll try and get them answered as soon as we can. And please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts as well. And we'll be right back here next week. Bye-bye.